We are going to look back on the weekend that was between the Oaks and the Derby and everything kind of in between. As we saw, and we kind of talked about it before the Derby, that look, weather was probably going to be an issue at some point. And I think it was a bigger issue on Friday than Saturday, or at least overall throughout the day. Maybe early on Saturday was a little hairy, but it was Good Cheer and Sovereignty that both capture, of course, the Oaks and the Derby. Not necessarily Good Cheer, definitely the favorite. Sovereignty, I believe, was the second or third choice. So kind of chalk when it comes to the Oaks and the Derby, when it comes to those two. Raider Jim, your thoughts on those or any of the other races we saw a few weekends back at Churchill?
Yeah, Friday, Oaks Day, it was a mess out there. I was fortunate enough to be able to catch most of the program on TP, and at one point they got lightning, and so with that they had to postpone everything. And you should have seen the people running. It was kind of one of the best shots I saw was one of the pretty young ladies in her long dress, and she had her shoes in her hand, but she was actually on the track. So she's running through the dirt on the track in her dress, and there's mud flying all over the place, trying to get out of the rain. And it was, it will only dampen spirits for just a little bit. And then the rain passed, and Network did a wonderful job of covering all that, because they just did their thing and filled in the time real well. One of the interesting things, and I don't remember if it was on Saturday, I believe it was on Saturday, when Mike Tirico got sick.
Yeah.
Because they had who knew he had a reaction to peanuts. There was something peanuts in one of the meals he ate, and he's got that disease or condition where just gets violently ill. And so he ate something, not aware that it was in the sauce or whatever, and boom, took him out. So that was kind of the most weird thing. But the Oaks race itself, let me tell you, Good Cheer was positioned very, very well the entire race. Never challenged at the front until they were coming around that back stretch and down into the home stretch. And let me tell you, that horse found a gear in the rain and really, really took it. Ended up winning, no question, nothing at the wire. It was just their front runner, and what a great, great race they ran.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed with Good Cheer, not only to win the way she did, but in the conditions again, because I really do think the Oaks was a tougher race, or at least, weather-wise, to navigate than the actual Derby. I do want to shout out just Churchill Downs in general, outside of, the obvious, as you said, some of the patrons maybe going home and having to shower a little extra or sacrifice some stilettos here or there to get home, whatever it is. But the action on the track and the things that, really kind of do matter, everything for the most part seemed to go off without a hitch with everything that was out there in terms of the weather. I was very impressed. They even talked with, one of the jockeys, and I think it's Jerry Bailey, who's on the NBC panel. But it might be Gary C. I don't know. They seem to switch him out every time. But he was, remarking that, look, it's other than maybe the visibility being a little less, like all you do is you bring whatever 5 or 6 extra goggles. And yeah, it does take some moments while you're, having to kind of,
right,
transfer here and there. But he had said, he was like, for the horses, it's really not terribly noticeable. And I really do think that Churchill Downs does need to get some credit for that, to kind of get through that weekend. And seems like every Kentucky Derby, we of course do have the specter of the weather. One thing I didn't add to kind of the preface of this, we did see after the fact, Junior Alvarado, who is of course the jockey of Sovereignty, he was fined $62,000 and suspended 2 racing days. I believe he has already served those 2 days for overuse of the riding crop during the race. I believe he used it 6 times instead of 3, or 9 times instead of 6. I do know it was 3 more than what was needed. And I do want to add just a little bit of context because I do think sometimes people see the riding crop or they'll call it the whip, which it's fine, whatever, potato, but it is called a riding crop. It's more to guide and direct a horse rather than tell a horse to run fast because, I mean, from birth, these horses know once that bell rings, you run until someone pulls back on the reins. So it's not like a reminder, hey, I really need you to run fast right now. It's more of a directional thing. But at the same time, there are laws and protocols that have been put into place. And he did go over that. So, $62,000, that's, I mean, I watch hockey and guys get fined $5,000 for illegal checks. So, 62K probably bites into a little bit of that jockey's purse, but not a whole lot. But I did just kind of want to mention that. Again, Junior Alvarado, fantastic jockey. This does happen. It's not unbelievable or crazy. And again, I just wanted to kind of preface it that it's more directional rather than I'm going to beat this horse until it runs as fast as I want it to go. But just wanted to kind of bring that up. But I was very, very impressed, not only with, please.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I meant to watch the race. I apologize. Friday was kind of a crazy day at work. Hopefully the boss isn't listening, but when I sit at my normal desk, I can maybe kind of sneak something on the old phone, here or there. But this past Friday I was working up front, kind of in front of everyone. So I was able to take my break and see the Oaks race, but I got the text from you, Torpedo Anna last. And I appreciate your reminder for that. I do have to go back and watch the race. I haven't seen it. The only thing I could think was weather related, because again, this is a horse that I had almost built up to Herculean, elevation. I was ready for this horse to be my favorite in the classic. And, not a great running. I don't know what the horse went off at, but I have to imagine it was probably close to 1-10. I think it was 2-5 when we talked about it morning line. I don't know what your thoughts are. You watched the race, but I would just have to imagine, gun to my head, like, what do I think happened? I would assume weather affected the horse, but I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
I never heard anything after that. My first thought was, okay, she's injured. There's got to be an injury. It's got to be, maybe something in the hoof, something on the forelockers, but no, not at all. Matter of fact, even one of the trainers right after the race said, first thing we're doing is and they even said, we got to check her hooves, because even they said there's no reason for this performance. Wasn't like they went down and she got nosed or something like that. No, she was, quite honestly, never in the race. That's the only way I can put it. When I was just like this, I kept waiting for that, find that extra gear and just blow by everybody. Never did it. Just kept watching her drop back. And wow, was just shocked by that performance.
Yeah, I do think now kind of the summer, I think probably some reevaluation there from Torpedo Anna again. Just because, from my side of things, I figure, look, she's going to roll through this. Because I think that was a filly only field, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
So I was thinking she rolls through this, maybe has 1 or 2 races with the boys before the classic. But now I think those connections, Kenny McPeak, if they are thinking deep into the year, they might be thinking, let's just maybe go for a back-to-back Distaff. But as you kind of mentioned, I do think they do need to kind of go back to the drawing board and maybe bring in a couple extra bets to make sure that someone isn't missing something, because that would be a disaster. I don't want to put that into the universe, but again, I think
I'm pulling it up now in case I'm
like all of them wondering what happened.
Yeah, it's I don't see anything real current. I see 11 days ago, Torpedo Anna reigning horse of the year to visit clinic after surprise loss. And then 4 days later, it was Torpedo Anna 2024 Oaks winner receives all clear from doctor.
Wow.
So very interesting.
It wasn't even her season debut either, because sometimes you can say, hey, you know what, she's been off for 3, 4, 5 months, and maybe it will. But she's ran, I mean, at least 2 races or but yeah, very, very odd to see that out of Torpedo Anna, or at least hear about that, at least in my sense. Very, very, very interesting. Keep an eye on that. And who knows, maybe that kind of makes the Distaff division a little more interesting if Torpedo Anna is going to come down. And I think you have to imagine that if everything goes as planned, we might see Good Cheer want to step up and see if she can take a run at the Distaff. But it's going to be very interesting.